Now, I have a problem. I have many problems, but the answer to this particular problem lies within this box. I have too many cameras. I know this. I do not need another camera, but I did actually need this specific camera. Now, the problem's quite simple. As I've progressed with my photography, I'm noticing gaps in my ability to capture images, specifically with sports. Now, as we look at sports, and that could be volleyball, soccer, football, just the kids jumping on a trampoline, anything which involves activity where I want to capture specific moments in time. What I found was very good photographers are able to predict and capture that image with that good composition. I'm not quite there yet. So what I'm doing is using burst modes and continuous shoot modes. The problem is, with my Nikon range of cameras, I'm finding gaps in my abilities. One of the major flaws is that my laptop is a MacBook Air, and it doesn't have the beef and the speed to run my high resolution images. This, my Nikon D800 I love, is a full frame 36 megapixel beast. If I go ahead and shoot its 5 frames a second to capture those beautiful images in sports or any action, my problem is the 36 megapixel files are so big that it clogs up my MacBook and slows everything down. Editing becomes molasses slow. So I need something with a little less megapixels. So then, let's look at my Nikon F5, a great option for shooting sports. Listen to this shutter speed. I think it's 8 or 9 frames a second with this Nikon F5. A wonderful beast of a camera. I can zoom in, I can capture sports, and this is what this camera was built for. Professional, fast, great compositions, awesome, awesome, awesome camera. And it's definitely up there with one of my favorite cameras to capture action. The problem is that this is film. This takes 35mm film. Film right now is $2 billion a roll, and a kid needs to get it developed. It actually isn't that bad. But the problem is, obviously, I only get 36 frames per roll, and then I'd have to load another roll, etc. And it would just take too long to develop it. And I'm too much of a developing photographer to capture the images I really want to. Now, the F5 has a great dynamic range. It's going to capture beautiful images and do exactly what I want it to do. It does everything manually, multi-point focusing, ISO adjustable, great viewfinder, great camera, but I'm not about to shoot 35mm for volleyball games, football games, kids on trampolines. It's just going to cost me too much money. What about my old school Nikon D1hs then? Not a bad option. One of the first ever Nikon DSLR digital cameras to be released. A beautiful powerhouse of a beast. I've got this for no money, $25. It takes the Nikon lenses. It's got that depth of field. It's wonderful. Fast shutter speed. It's just a little bit juicy on the batteries. This particular camera, I did a video of it before. The batteries are about 35 to 50 bucks each. The charger was 125 bucks. It doesn't really hold a charge, even my spare one, so it causes problems. I need a reliable camera that's going to hold its own, that has a long charge, that has enough megapixels, and that can get at least 8 frames a second. So, within this box is the answer. Can you guess what it is? So, let's have a look at what we're dealing with. This was purchased off of eBay, and it was a bit of a struggle because a whole bunch of people wanted it. So I probably paid a bit too much than I should have for it. I think I ended up paying $80. So let's have a look. It's packaged really well, so we can kind of trust the seller when the seller tells me that it's in complete working order. So this is what we're dealing with. Okay. Great packaging. I'll keep this packaging and recycle it for when I sell one of my cameras. And there she is, you guys. I knew you already guessed it. It's the Nikon D2hs. The Nikon D2hs. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful camera. I mean, this is clearly being used for all sorts. I mean, it is absolutely beaten to death. There's a bit of a crack on the front, if you can see that, just a slight crack. It doesn't look like it's too bad. I mean, this doesn't have a pop-up flash anyway, but I feel like if it had a pop-up flash, that would have probably been affected. This is a great lens cap. Oh, wow. Super solid lens cap. And then if we have a look inside, see about any issues inside. You know, it looks pretty clean. So there you go, you guys. The Nikon D2hs. Now, this particular camera has a 4.1 to 4.6 megapixel sensor. So what that means is I'm able to collect images far faster because they're not as large a file. So what that means also is it's going to free up that space on my Lightroom and on my Mac for me to edit. And I don't really care that the size is so small because it's shooting sports. I don't really care about cropping in. I just want to capture that shot. So what I'll do is I'll use zoom lenses, jump in and get my action shots, and then I'll slow it down and use my D800 to capture wider images, and I can zoom in and crop with my D800. So the idea is just to use a versatile range of cameras to be able to capture as many shots as possible and be able to use my cameras to achieve those goals. And this D2hs is designed for sports photography. So let's have a chat about it. So let's talk about this. Just like on my camera review website, which I always look at to compare cameras, the D1X versus the D1hs. Now, we already said that I don't fully trust my D1X. So that's a personal thing. The batteries for me on that camera do not last as long as they should. The reviews say that the D1hs batteries last way longer. I just purchased 2 batteries and a dual rapid charger for less than 40 bucks on eBay. Amazon sell them as well on Amazon Prime, but they are in the region of 60 odd dollars. Still far cheaper than the D1hs. The literature suggests that the D1hs batteries last far, far longer. So I'm fully happy with that situation. So the D1hs was released in 2005. It was released because Nikon needed a sports camera that would surpass the f5, surpass the f6, and it was digital that could take over 5 frames a second images. So problems that I foresee and problems that I know with the Nikon D2hs. It is a 4 megapixel sensor. It's not CMOS, it's not CCD. The colors are historically known for being relatively flat. Also, the images, as you creep up on that ISO, I think it's got a maximum ISO of like 1600 or something. The problem is the images may be noisy. So they can appear to be kind of soft, kind of spongy when you look at them. You're not going to capture the sharpest, crispest images with this sub $50 camera. You know that. It's less than 50 bucks. But what I look to capture are vintage retro vibes. And that's what I'm going to get with this camera. If I want crisper images, I'm going to use my D800, my D850. All right, high megapixel cameras that are going to deliver full frame images that I can crop, clip, and are going to look a lot crisper. This is my sports camera, my retro, vintage, old school sports camera. And yeah, it's huge. And yeah, there are better options. I have a D40X, I have a D60, D90, D70, D100, D200. I have a whole bunch of other Nikon cameras. This specific one has those 8-9 frames a second that I'm looking for to shoot my sports mode photography. Do not buy this expecting beautiful, crisp images. You're not going to get it. You're going to be upset. Buy it if you want to capture those crazy moments of people frozen in time doing dumb stuff or doing awesome stuff, spiking on the net, catching the ball midair, jumping on the trampoline, all those awesome things that you want to capture. Boom, 8 frames a second. You're going to get it with your 4 megapixel, 8 frames a second camera. And that's what this is for. Now, I did not expect this to happen, but whilst I was filming and editing this D2hs video, Castar actually delivered my batteries. Now, I ordered these batteries maybe 2 days ago, so did not expect them to come through. Shipping was free, and you can see I've just charged them for like 20 minutes in this quick charger, and they're 100% charged. These are the batteries themselves. You get 2 for $30. And apparently with this lithium ion battery, you get a whole lot of shooting with this camera. So now I've got the batteries. Let's test the camera, see if it works. So I'm going to go ahead and put a Lexar 4 gig CF card in the camera itself. Pretty straightforward. Just lift the flap, push the button, and then we'll be able to drop that CF card in. So the CF card's in, and then the battery itself, pretty straightforward. We can see, we slide in and lock down, and then you should be able to see on the top. Yeah, there you go. So it says that I have 1,000 shots remaining, and I've taken 16 shots. So just flip the camera to on. We can see it's on continuous high for the shooting. Let's see how this sounds. Oh my goodness. Did you hear that shutter speed? That is insane. Look at that. We're up to 23. See, it's buffering. And again, let's just have a listen to that shutter count right now. That is insane. Insanity. Look at that. That's the ceiling. I am so happy. This totally works for a grand total of maybe $110, including the battery and charger, for this Nikon D1hs. Let's go outside and take some pictures. I'm lucky enough to live on a running trail, so I should be able to get some shots of cyclists going past, and let's see if we can get some decent action shots. Have a look at some of these images that I created with the D1hs. Should you buy the Nikon D2hs? Yes, you should buy it for less than $100. Yes, you should buy it. Just understand, the images may be noisy if the ISO creeps up. Use it in full sunlight, in a low ISO, 8 frames a second. You'll be able to send these files back and forward. They're 4 megapixel. They're tiny. You'll be able to cycle these images, these files, through your Lightroom, through your Photoshop super quick. They're tiny. You'll be able to transfer these files between your friends super quick. They're tiny. This is a camera that you use every day for fun, to have a good time, to capture those images and create nostalgic moments. It is huge. So, you know, you have to roll with that as well. I'll tell you something which is good about carrying a huge camera around and taking pictures. People think you're a professional, all right? The amount of times I go out and shoot with my F5 or my D200 with the battery grip, and people are like, oh, what are you shooting? Are you shooting for a movie? I'm like, no, I'm just shooting for fun, you know? It's pretty cool. Feel like a professional, capture images like a professional, capture all those images. You're gonna freeze moments in time because this allows you to do it. Buy the D2hs, knowing that you're not gonna get crisp images, but you're gonna get images. The images you're looking for, you're gonna capture those moments with this camera. Or get the Nikon F5 and spend a lot of money on film and developing and do the same thing. Look out for the next video. I'm going to be reviewing a mystery camera. It's going to be dope. Catch you on the other side. Thank you so much. See you soon.